This particular instance serves as a prime illustration and practical demonstration of how one might effectively utilize and implement the concept of cue points within a given framework or system. It was conceived and executed as a very rapid, concise, and preliminary example, primarily intended to offer a foundational understanding and to clearly convey a fundamental idea or principle without delving into excessive complexity. Its purpose was to provide an immediate and accessible insight, ensuring that the core concept was readily grasped and understood by the audience. Good morning, esteemed viewers and listeners. A very warm and enthusiastic welcome back to our dedicated series, EP.2, where we continue our journey of exploration and discussion. We are now commencing and engaging with episode number 2 of this ongoing series, building upon the foundations laid in our previous installment. I must extend my sincerest apologies and express regret for the noticeably poor and suboptimal audio quality that you may be experiencing during this broadcast. Regrettably, I am currently encountering a significant number of persistent and frustrating technical difficulties with these troublesome and frankly quite exasperating microphones. Indeed, I am genuinely grappling with considerable and ongoing issues concerning their functionality and performance, which are proving to be quite challenging to resolve at this moment. Your understanding and patience in this matter are greatly appreciated as we work to rectify these technical impediments. I'll try to use this, so you might hear something from time to time, some strange noise, and with the pop filter, unfortunately, their spiders get in the way. So guys, in this second episode of the series on how to learn to DJ seriously, we're going to look at what the cue point is, how to recognize it, how to set it in the right position, and all that stuff. We'll also touch on the tracks meter, the famous 4/4 time, 1, 2, 3, 4, but we'll understand everything as we go. Let's say these concepts, especially those about starting in time and keeping tempo, which we'll go into more deeply in step 4. Right now we're at step 2, so let's take it easy, relax. But in order to set the cue point properly, we need to briefly mention the tracks meter, okay? What is meter? Have you ever played music in your life? Basically meter, along with other things. Damn microphones, I hate 4/4 time. Have you ever heard of a 4 on the floor kick? You know, boom, 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 boom. Let's listen to a track. Now we're going to start with track number 2, so this one. Okay? I'm turning up the volume. There's this talkover function that, for now, I'm turning off. Basically, when it detects an input signal from the microphones, it lowers the master volume to give priority to what the speaker is saying. Now, I explained it in a technical way, but let's stay on the same level, you know? I don't know what to do with these microphones, but if the situation gets worse, I could try using 2. But then you get this kind of echo. I don't know, like if I use 2, whatever, if one doesn't work, the other will. Let's hope that by doing this, we can actually get something serious done, okay? All right, let's delve into the concept of meter, specifically focusing on 4/4 time. So if you happen to be a club goer, if you've already experienced going out and dancing, you will undoubtedly have noticed that not all musical compositions are precisely the same. Or rather, you are certainly not one of those individuals who would emphatically declare, damn, this techno music all sounds exactly the same. My dear friend, techno music is absolutely not all the same. It is in fact very hypnotic in its nature, it frequently repeats its patterns, and it is indeed quite repetitive, but it is most certainly not identical, okay? Is this concept clear? What shitty audio. Sorry, I need to fix this particular problem. I'm truly fed up, damn it. Let's pick up from the metric as soon as I've completely solved this issue. I'm saying this because I can clearly hear myself in my headphones and it sounds absolutely awful. So this is only the 4th time I'm recording this video and I'm really starting to get quite pissed off. Anyway, guys, in the end, I finally fixed it. I think I genuinely fixed it by doing a firmware update on these microphones. I won't hide that I've already gone ahead and ordered a brand new pair of DJI wireless microphones, just like these, but not OLED. They're DJI, you know, a much more renowned and established brand. But despite that, luckily one of the companies I collaborate with generously lent me one of these headset microphones. Not exactly professional grade, but still pretty decent and functional. So, to thank them, let's say we'll put on this company's cap, which is called Artec. I hope one day you'll hear about them. There's a crazy idea in my head. Maybe one day I'll tell you all about it. They build giant LED screens mainly for advertising purposes, but they also do events and various other things like that. We're based in Turin, so if you need anything from service to giant screens and so on, we work all over Italy, actually all over Europe, really all over the damn planet. So let's get started. Let's move on with the metric issue right where we left off because of these fucking microphones. Well, if you're a regular club goer or you've studied music even a little bit, for sure, if I say 4/4, you know precisely what it means. A bar is made up of 4 distinct beats, 4 kick drum hits in electronic music. Pa 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 pa, that's one bar. Pa 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 pa, that's the second bar. Let's say that in electronic music we don't really talk about 4/4, we already already talk about 8 because it makes life much easier for us, but to be even more precise, we should start counting from 4. Let's do a quick example. Now I'm going to play a track, and I'd like you in your head, but I'll repeat it too while the track is playing, to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you'll notice that every so often, repeatedly, every so many bars, so every so many sets of 4 kick drum hits, which could be 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, depending a bit on the specific genre you're playing. For example, melodic techno usually goes more for 64 or 32. Hard techno can go more for 32 or 16, since it's more varied and all that. Anyway, you'll notice that at the repetition, this word of 4 bars, there will always be a noticeable variation, which could be 4, 8, 16, 32, but in any case, you'll be perfectly in time. This is literally the metric. We need to know this because we have to set our cue point based on the metric for the track. Let's understand exactly what that means. Okay, here we are on our beautiful Pioneer DJ RX3 console. All things considered, today we're getting hands-on with our console for the very first time. So let's hit play on the track we have here on the left, and we notice that we're already starting from the beginning where we actually have a nice full kick. Then we can see here that we have a nice full kick, and later we'll understand what a full kick and a semi-kick truly means. So let's start and count 1, 2, 3, 4 together, okay? So in this case, after we've counted 1, 2, 3, 4, how many times did we do it? 16 times? About 16 times? So some symbols have been added here. They've been added because these symbols were put in metrically, more or less. This is the same reason why when you go dancing, you already know. You expect when the DJ is about to drop the big track, you can already feel it inside. It's something intrinsic for people who go dancing for years, and it's something that will, in quotes, come naturally to you. Otherwise, if it doesn't come naturally, the solution is this: 1, 2, 3, 4. Count, count, count until this thing comes automatically in your head. So now let's talk about the cue point. What is this damn cue point? The cue point is represented by this distinct little button or by these intuitive pads, as I meticulously showed you in the intro. It's basically a practical kind of bookmark within our track. Literally, it's a precise save point that we can strategically place wherever the hell we want inside our track. At the beginning, especially in this specific case, to learn how to effectively mix, we're going to carefully place it on the very first useful kick we find. Now, let's be absolutely clear. What do we precisely mean by the first useful kick? I've already meticulously loaded 2 distinct tracks onto my professional console. One on the left side, which we have just observed and analyzed, where the very first impactful kick of the track is quite literally a truly useful and prominent kick. In fact, if I proceed to go and press it now, you can clearly and distinctly hear precisely how incredibly full and resonant it sounds, and how exceptionally well placed and perfectly positioned the kick is within the overall musical arrangement. Meanwhile, in the track positioned on the right side, specifically within the initial and introductory part of the track, as you can readily and easily notice, there isn't a complete or full kick present. Instead, there's a distinct part, let's accurately call it a developing melody, even though it is fundamentally a complex drum pattern that is progressively building up and evolving. I will now allow you to listen to it attentively. In this particular case, my dear listeners and fellow enthusiasts, you absolutely need to diligently look for and identify the very first genuinely useful and impactful kick. And precisely how do you effectively accomplish that? You do so simply and straightforwardly by carefully counting the musical bars from the precise moment you begin to clearly and audibly hear a significant and noticeable change or transition in your track. From that exact moment onwards, you meticulously start counting the musical bars, and then you proceed to go and precisely set your cue point on that very first, truly useful and prominent kick. Let's thoroughly try this out together. So let's comprehensively start again from the very beginning with this particular track, ensuring a complete and accurate demonstration. Let's actually try it out and see how it works. successfully set it up. Actually, there was already a pre-existing cue point located right here, which I am now going to deliberately delete by simply pressing the Shift key and simultaneously pressing the corresponding pad. There, it's completely gone. Now, let's proceed to carefully save our new cue point, specifically those crucial points on the kick drum, on the truly useful and impactful kick sound that we meticulously found by attentively listening and literally counting each individual beat. I'll let you clearly hear it with the violin mode. Literally, the sound of him. But at this precise point in time, let's also thoroughly understand how to properly save the cue point. Remember, we are primarily working on Pioneer equipment here, which is widely recognized. Pioneer is universally considered the world standard in DJ equipment, so it makes perfect sense for me to comprehensively explain how a Pioneer console meticulously works. Every single brand, every distinct manufacturer of their own unique console might indeed have a slightly different or alternative way of saving the cue point. All consoles, without exception, let you save a cue point, but various different brands like Denon, American Audio, and numerous others might possess a distinct and unique saving method. On Pioneer, which is undeniably the world standard, this is precisely how you accomplish it. After that, the console will automatically play a small repeating fragment of the track on a continuous loop, which significantly helps right at the very start of the kick. This is vital because if our kick sound is composed of the initial impactful hit plus its resonant tail, we absolutely need to lock in at the very beginning of the initial hit. So let's listen carefully, press play, then press stop. Now let's meticulously find our kick, which was this particular one exactly. So let's precisely lock in when we begin to hear a sharper, more distinctly defined sound right at the very start of the kick's powerful attack. We save our cue point by simply and straightforwardly pressing the dedicated cue button. From this exact moment on, every single time we press the cue button, our track will consistently start playing from that specific designated point. If we hold down the cue button, the track will continue playing for as long as we keep the button firmly pressed. And when we release it, the track instantly goes back to that precise point. I press the cue button and hold it down. The track moves forward. I release the cue button. The track immediately goes back to that exact point. I press play, then press cue, and we instantly return to that specific point. Be extremely careful. If I press play and then press play again, I'll have the opportunity to save another cue point, but be acutely aware that if you save it, you will inevitably overwrite the one you just previously saved. So before pressing this particular situation, go back to play, then press cue, and you'll return. The real video, relax, relax. I want to point something very important out. Let's say you don't save the kick exactly at the very start. Listen closely to the significant difference. This is a simply and well-saved kick. Did you clearly hear how full and impactful it sounds? Now let's try to reactivated. Here's another crucial thing. Let's talk extensively about quantize. I was originally going to talk about it later, but now is an exceptionally good time to thoroughly clear this up. So quantize, what exactly is quantize? Quantize is a fundamental function, especially prominent on Pioneer consoles and within the comprehensive Rekordbox software suite, that significantly assists professional DJs in precisely triggering various effects, initiating seamless loops, or even simply launching preset hot cues directly from their performance pads, as we visually observed and understood in the introductory segment. This invaluable feature ensures that these actions commence perfectly in time, precisely on the beat, and in complete synchronization with the musical track that is already actively playing. It is important to note that quantize is a completely digital function, and you possess the flexibility to easily turn it off whenever you determine that you do not require its assistance, such as in this specific scenario. Here, for instance, we intend to intentionally go off the primary kick drum, and we do not desire, well, the system is currently indicating to us, hey, the kick drum should ideally be saved at that precise point, and we are fully aware of that, and indeed that is correct. However, in order to allow you to clearly hear and discern the significant difference, I specifically want to save it at a distinctly different point in the track. It will not permit me to accomplish that precisely because the quantize function is currently activated. This quantize mechanism, this intricate grid system that you can clearly observe displayed on the monitor and also directly on our console, is meticulously created during the initial track analysis process within the powerful Rekordbox software, okay? So in essence, it is entirely digital stuff, a product of advanced digital processing. Anyway, what you typically do in this particular case is simply turn off the quantize function. How exactly do you achieve that? There is a very simple and accessible button. In this specific instance, there is one dedicated button for each individual deck, as you can clearly see demonstrated here. It is currently in the on position right now, so now that I have successfully turned the quantize function off, I am completely free to save my cue point wherever the hell I desire, even if that means placing it in the very middle of a cymbal crash, if that is what I wish to do. Do you see? Now let me save it there, and if we try to start from here, you'll hear that this kick isn't full, it's missing a piece. Let's go back to the original. Do you hear that extra kick at the beginning? Try going back in the video and listening to the difference again. Let's turn quantize quantize back on, and I'll explain something else. This grid you see, the one I just showed you that's lined up with the kicks, isn't always correctly placed on the kicks. What I mean is Rekordbox is just software, okay? It's not an ear, it's not a human being. It can make mistakes and put its grid not on the kicks, but for example, on a sound that really resembles a kick, like a strong clap. If that happens, well, you can fix it, either from the CDJ, from the console live, or from the software itself. You can correct it, but honestly what I do is turn off quantize, set the cue on the correct kick, and then turn quantize back on. That's why I say, guys, everything's fine. Sync is fine when you're starting out, the computer screen is fine when you're starting out, but you have to use your ears, get that in your head, ears. That said, guys, I'd say that saving the cue point is a metrical accent for this episode too. We've talked about it, we've discussed what this cue point is, what it does, and what it's for. And just to finish the video properly, in the intro you saw my little performance where I brought in a repetitive percussion using cue points, hot cues, sorry. Hot cues are literally these pads, meaning multiple points saved within your track that you can trigger however the hell you want. So what was I doing? I was bringing it in. Let's see if it's still saved. It should be this one. No, it's not. Oh, well, never mind. Anyway, if you want, just go back to the beginning of the video and watch that little performance again. I came in by repeating this hot cue, and when I felt ready, especially when the timing was right for me to start, I cut the bass on the right track, which was already playing, and then brought them back up, adding them in. At the same time, I triggered the left track in time using another hot cue, so that it would cover the low frequencies that were missing in the overall mix since I had removed them on the other side. So with that said, guys, this is really cool. I'm getting hyped tonight. I'll see you in the next episode. In episode 3, we're going to look at gain and volume, which is one of those topics that, well, people don't really pay attention to, especially at the beginning. What is gain? What does gain do? Tracks can have different volumes, and they need to be balanced.